Good morning, Internet. We are broadcasting from Southern California. I hope you're having a good day. And we're going to make another handmade watercolor paint. I have a quote, which by now some of you may already know by heart, but this is that the medium, and here is the medium, which is, the recipe is right here, 4 part gum Arabic, 4 parts gum Arabic to 1 part glycerin, or instead of just glycerin you can have honey in glycerin, and then a few drops of ox gall. And really, the ox gall, you know, it slows the drying and absorption of the moisture, so it counteracts what gum Arabic actually does, so it slows that down, and also it counteracts the stickiness of the honey. And the reason you would put the honey in there is to make your paints kind of shine. And I don't know if you always want that, and I don't know if it is really obvious when we start using it, but it's an interesting feature. So let's get going. The star of the show today is Natural Umber CPR from Italy. Here is the package, and I'm going to scoop out my 1 part, and then I'm going to mix in my medium until it's the consistency that I'd like. And so I recall in my last episode I started I maybe got it too soupy, and anyway, so I'm going to get going on this. By the way, it comes from the people called Color Rare, and it is from someplace in I don't know, maybe California. There, you can see here www.colorare.ca, or the same thing in .us. So I think they're in California, but then again, they might. I have no idea where they really are. Yeah, their head office is in France. Yes, so we know where they are, and so we also know probably that most of these from them, most of these are coming from France or Italy or someplace on continental Europe, probably, because transportation is an issue when you're selling dirt, because you buy it in tons or many tons, and then you grind it up and sell it to people like me. So I'm going to try that quantity. And you know what? I'm going to do more. I can fill up more tins that way. And I can use and have used. Don't inhale. There's the pigment. Get a preview of what the pigment is going to look like. I hate when they get it all over me. Now, takes me back to my art school days, where I didn't have a part of my body or a piece of clothing that didn't have paint all over it. And so, of course, that's the situation now. In my retirement, Before I retired, I did architectural renderings, and I did it from 1999 to just a few months ago. So now here's my pigment. Let's see, I can't really, it's all dry and powdery. They did a really fine job of grinding up the liquid. So I'm going to pour in my ready mixed recipe per Mike Chaplin, just a genius of a British watercolorist and etcher. I think he's a polymath maybe, but he may be 83 years old. Okay, we're back. I am going to add more medium. Yeah, I did put a lot of pigment in there, so, but I gotta be careful not to get my paint as soupy as sometimes it gets, because I'm just eyeballing the medium that I'm putting in. Sorry for the interruption. I had some power issues with my equipment, and so, wow, I'm grinding this. It's really thick. Now I think that's probably what you want. You don't want to have, and this would be great to put in tubes. Right. It is really finely ground. I can't hear any grit. But then again, I have a hearing problem. But you can feel it. If there's grit, you can feel it. And yeah, I can feel it. Even if you can't see it. Try to keep the pigment off of your hands, although the manufacturer says that they are safe. Here's what the manufacturer says: keep out of the reach of children, do not swallow or inhale. Good, that's good. Wear safety glasses and face mask is recommended due to the risk of projection while handling. Well, I was very careful, but I do have glasses on, and I wash my hands frequently, and I don't put my hands in my eyes, and I don't have sensitive skin, so that's not an issue. And they say have adequate ventilation. Well, I couldn't have more adequate ventilation. I'm outdoors, and plain air, as it were, although I'm not actually drawing anything that I can see right here. I will. I have a lot of my wife has turned our yard into an arboretum for desert loving plants. Anyway, nope, protection is good. I don't need to worry. I suppose I probably should have gloves on, but that's what you got water for. So let me wash up a little. My power washer for brushes. Yeah, you know, you can use when you have when you want to clean your brushes, it's pretty cool to have a little well, it's actually intended for in your mouth. Clean your gums. Holy smokes. I got a globule of something on a painting from the last project. Well, que sera. I'll turn it into a seagull. A brown seagull. Guess I'll have to use a gouache or oil color to touch that up. Now I'm still mixing, as you can see. Boy, it looks like chocolate. It just absolutely looks scrumptious. And half of this mixture is food grade. But, you know, now I think I'm good. This is a great, and I can always try it again. What I think I'm going to do is try it right out of the pot. So I'm going to put it over here, and we're going to go and do it all again on another project. So we are going to test the qualities of the pigment. And let's see, I recall that it might be a good idea to tape this down so it doesn't matter, but I think I'm going to use my delicate frog tape. It's frog tape. So I got it at Home Depot, don't you know? And it's for delicate surfaces. And I don't know, I think this is a delicate surface. I'm gonna put it right on here like this. It'll maybe almost turn it into a block. Are you listening to me? Equipment's working. So there I go. And I've taped down part of my surface just in case I want to have a realistic test, not have the paper buckle. I am using 90-pound Fabriano Studio, 90 pounds, so cold pressed, but I really like the texture on it, so it'll be a good test, I think. Let's do one more part of the tablet that isn't already glued, although their glue comes off fairly easily. So there, that looks good. And tape it over. That'll be fine. Okay. So now I have my umber here, and boy is it thick. Let's do wet on wet. There we go, and the top part of that paper is wet, and what we're testing here is the natural. Oh, you can see part of it, Natural Umber CPR from Italy. All right, so let's get a wet brush and dip into the pigment. Whoa, that is thick. Yeah, I did probably if we went and wet on dry, it might not, we might get some surprises, but I'm going to do wet on wet, and that's, well, it's transparent. Even as thick as that was, it's quite transparent. And now, the paper that I was using, we can see that some of that wash is soaking in. What we can do here is, let's just spritz on a little water. And see what it looks like. Looks pretty cool. I like it. Now we let it run a little. I know my table here is at 10%, but it still doesn't look like it wants to go anyplace. So I'm gonna tilt it up to about 30 and see what happens. There we go. See if I can't get that on my pants. I need more color. There. Nope. It's at one point when I first started the brush stroke, I probably loaded up more of the paint, and so we can see that I got a clean rag here. I think I just want a dirty rag. Clean up some of this pigment here. I don't care about that. Yeah, where I wetted it, we're getting some interesting figuring. Let's go and try dry. But ordinarily you would never do it completely dry. I mean, right out of the tube, as it were. But let's make it a really heavy load of paint and put it on wet on dry. Wet on wet, wet on dry. Wet on wet, wet on dry. That pigment, or our combination here, the umber goes on, but it is quite transparent. I wonder if we have too much medium, and it's overpowering the pigment. And I think that's it looks like that's the case, but I'm sure that we can just use a different brush. This is a wash brush. Let's try a smaller number 12, not a mop, just a regular brush, and we're pretty dry and heavy load, but let's go dry. Well, that's really dry, so Let's add just a little water and see if we can't get a load of pigment. I don't know. Well, it's quite transparent. Now let's see. This is still wet up here. So let me see what happens when I put a cloud in the brown sky. It is not lifting unless it's very wet. It will not lift if it's just damp. And I think this whole thing here is part of this laid down here is damp still, but then part of it is not. So wrong one. I use my brush cleaning equipment, my water pick, and well, its lifting is kind of medium. It's kind of not wonderful. What happens if we scratch it? Well, the wet area is scratched, and this area is damp versus wet. Suppose, let's scrub it with a scrubber. Oop, no scrubbers around. Let's just wet it down a little. Okay, wetting it down. I can see if I let it soak in a little bit. And then come back in and see how much of that I can lift. And not much. And that was from a wash that was wet on wet. And so the only areas, immediately after I lay it down, I can lift it pretty well. Still, it's there. This was still wet from the original application, and I could lift a good deal of it. It's not white. So, que sera. Let's see what we can do on, suppose we wanted to lift something from dry, wet on dry, that's already dried. And so now we try to see if we can lift. And let's try this one too, see if what we can do. This is a heavier pigment right here. Heavier pigment load. This is more of a wash. Okay, so I've cleaned up my brushes. Still damp. So, let's see if I can lift it. I've waited 15 seconds. Now, as we could expect, it does lift. It doesn't, we'll compare this to other pigments. For instance, we still have a wet brush that has some ultramarine blue, and this is a wash consistency, and it is very transparent. And then we have the thicker areas. What if we go here and we can, we can obviously see the transparency of the ultramarine blue. So there's ultramarine blue over and on the edge of a wet area, and let's see, compare it. It's still wet, so I'm giving it good chances. Well, it's not. Apparently it dried. 10% humidity. It's gonna dry. So I have to find a wet patch, or, oh, well, look at that. That's a much whiter after I've lifted it. But then again, it's pretty easy to do that. So there's a transparent ultramarine blue, and I can do skies. Oh, the air conditioning is going on. So I should get closer to the microphone. I hope you can all hear me. Here's my blue skies. Let's see if I can wet this a little. And now I'm going through 2 washes. Ultramarine blue over the umber. And let's see what happens when I want to lift it. It's not bad. I think it may be an illusion here, but anyway, I like it, and I think I'm gonna put a lid on it. So thank you for joining me, and I am going to put my paint in pans, or at least 1 tube, but in pans. Okay, so have a good day. Thank you for joining. Goodbye from Southern California.